Ciao Bianconeri! What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bianconeri Show. I am your host, Juve AJ, and with me today is Martina.
What's up, guys?
So we have a lot to talk about this week. Obviously, we're going to start with the match analysis of Juventus versus Napoli, which was a very, very crazy game. Then we will move on to talk about some injuries, some stuff going on at the club, the transfer window, Champions League, and the dreaded international break.
So let's start with the game. Juventus-Napoli already on match day number 2. It was a beautiful game, super exciting, and I loved it. Juve had to make some changes from last game due to Chiellini's injury. Delite had to step up, so the lineup started with a 4-3-3 with Szczesny, De Sciglio, Bonucci, Delite, Alexandra, then Khedira, Pjanic, and Matuidi in the midfield, and Ronaldo, Higuain, and Douglas Costa at the top.
So it was pretty much the same lineup as the Parma game. The only difference, obviously, was Chiellini is out with an injury for about 5 to 6 months. So Delite had to step up and take his place. I was not surprised at all by this lineup. Obviously, it was pretty much rumored that the first 2 games were going to go this way. The only change that might have occurred was maybe Rabiot for Matuidi, but obviously we didn't see that. And to be fair, at least in the first half, the team played very, very well. I was very surprised with the performance that Khedira and Matuidi put in during that first half.
Khedira played amazing. I loved his performance at this game. He almost scored 2 goals. One of them was beautiful off the post, sadly. And the other one was, he was right in front of the goal. He could have scored, but the goalie got the ball.
Yeah, that second one that you talked about was actually the first chance in the game that he had. It was an amazing build-up. The tiki-taka style Sarri ball is really starting to come out in the team's play, and that pass from Higuain was ridiculous. He had eyes on the back of his head to give Khedira that pass. Khedira made a beautiful run, and then sadly he just he couldn't define well enough, and Merit ended up saving it. But what a miss! And obviously that second one, Khedira. He was trying to find a pass. He couldn't find it. It looked like he was stuck. Out of nowhere, he got a shot off. I think it went off of one of the defenders, but eventually it hit the post, which it would have been a beauty of a goal.
Juve started absolutely amazing the first minutes of the game, attacking and defending as a team, everyone going up and down together, playing together, tiki-taka style. Sadly, De Sciglio had to leave the field due to an injury. Danilo was substituted right away, and literally after 28 seconds that he stepped into the field, he scored a goal. His first Serie A goal, and one of the fastest in Serie A.
Yeah, I read somewhere that it was one of the fastest goals after a player had been substituted. So obviously, during that play, De Sciglio got injured. It was a Napoli corner. We made the quick change. Danilo didn't even get a chance to get into the box to defend the corner before Napoli took it. Douglas Costa made a great counterattack run. There was one point where he stopped in Napoli's box, and I thought, the play was done. But here came Danilo. He didn't even have a chance to warm up. He pretty much did a full field sprint, and Douglas Costa with a nice pass into Danilo's run, and he slotted it right past the goalkeeper. It was a great goal, great counterattack goal.
Yeah, it was beautiful. Douglas Costa played amazing in this game. He's been catching up a lot. I love how his mentality, most of it changed a lot from last season, and I'm so glad. I feel like he's super happy and super concentrated in proving himself and just growing as a player.
Yeah, he's been pretty much the key man in these first 2 games. And you can tell as well that he's probably the most fit, apart from Ronaldo. Obviously, Ronaldo has a fitness that is out of this world.
Nobody can compare to him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not even human, but you can also tell that on the pitch, Douglas, he just has this extra, it feels like he has an extra lung when he's on the pitch. And I think he's going to be one of the key players this season, especially in the attack.
For sure. And I'm super excited to see, what else he can bring. Because, I mean, he's been playing crazy and he already had some assists. I cannot wait to see his first goal.
Yeah, he had 2 assists in this game versus Napoli. But one other player that has completely surprised me, and I'll be the first to admit that I was skeptical of him staying at Juve, and that's Higuain, man. I mean, what a player he has been to this team during the last 2 games. Versus Parma, we saw this build-up play, this great linking between him and Ronaldo, between him and Douglas Costa. I mean, this guy, I think a lot of people were very, very skeptical, and everybody wanted him out. Not everybody, but a majority of Juve fans wanted him out of the team before the season started. But he showed the desire to stay. He showed that, he wasn't going to give up that easily. And he's proven himself in these first 2 games. Versus Napoli, great link up once again with the, not only with the attackers, but getting down and receiving the ball in the midfield from Pjanic, from Matuidi, from Khedira, helping and recovering the ball. And then let's talk about that goal. Oof. I mean,
beautiful.
I think it was the goal of the game.
Yeah, it was, wow.
The way he cut back inside.
Little thing he did with his, I don't know how to describe it. The thing he did.
He left Koulibaly just completely, lost. And then a beautiful finish off the volley. It was just an amazing goal.
Yeah, it was priceless. I'm happy for him. I mean, I know we talked about him a lot in the podcast before, that we were not sure and stuff like that. And then he's proving himself. That's what he had to do, and that's what he's showing us, what he's showing the fans, what he's capable of. Probably also he's better like mentally, he's been going through a lot in the past, and he's probably very happy to be home at Juve.
Yeah, I mean, he looked really, really good during that first half versus Napoli, as well as versus Parma. And, I'm excited to see
what's next.
Yeah, to see what's next. Obviously, like I said before, we were a little skeptical, but now there's nothing but optimism with Higuain.
It's gonna be hard for that, attacking line to see like who's gonna actually be the starting.
There's a real fight for that, that top 9/false 9 role between Higuain and Dybala. So I don't know. Dybala has a lot of work to do. Obviously, he missed preseason, a lot of preseason at least, because he was at Copa America with Argentina, and now he's going on international break with Argentina again. It's gonna be difficult for him to take that starting role away from Higuain.
At least he got some minutes during the game.
Yep, we'll talk about those changes here in a minute. So after that Higuain goal, we saw obviously those 2 clear Khedira misses that we talked about earlier.
Could have been an easy 4-0.
Yeah, could have been easy 3-4-0 going into the half, but we did go in with a 2-0 halftime result, with which, versus Napoli is pretty amazing, considering that last week they scored 4 against Fiorentina. The first half was just amazing. I haven't seen Juve play like that in such a long time.
Now let's talk about the second half. Not the same Juve as the first half. We lowered a little bit the intensity, but we started having some changes. Khedira was substituted by Emre Can, and right after that, Ronaldo scored his goal, his first goal in Serie A of the season, finally, and he celebrated with the VAR celebration since his last goal against Parma was apparently offside, so he was, celebrating against that disallowed goal.
Yep, so obviously Juve did not start the second half with the same intensity as the first half. They gave up the ball. We lost possession in the second half. And, Napoli were going hard in the attack. They were maintaining possession. They were threatening. But then out of nowhere, Ronaldo comes in and, scores his goal. Obviously does this celebration, telling Juve fans, calma, calma. We first we have to check to see if the VAR allows it or not. Taking a stab at VAR after that disallowed goal at Parma, as you just stated. But then unfortunately, 4 minutes later, Napoli get this free kick on the right side of the field. Swing in the cross, and Manolas gets in the end of it, and it results in the 3-1 goal for Napoli.
Literally 2 seconds after that goal from Manolas, Napoli scored again on us with the first goal for El Chucky Lozano. I was so disappointed to see, those 2 goals coming in out of nowhere, because we were playing so good. We were winning 3-0, and out of nowhere, we were 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a complete lapse of defensive concentration. Unfortunately, D'Elite was pretty much at fault for the Lozano goal. There was a counterattack, and Lozano came in straight through the middle. D'Elite pretty much stopped running. I guess he didn't realize that Lozano was, coming in through the middle.
He didn't expect it, I guess.
Yeah, he wasn't expecting Lozano to be there. Simple cross into the box, and Lozano sneaks it past Szczesny. Unfortunately, 3-2. I was not expecting this to happen at all, considering the first half that Juve played. And we were solid defensively in the first half. I guess it was just we got comfortable being 3-0 up at home. Unfortunately, Napoli, they started believing and they started the comeback. In the 76th minute, we saw Higuaín get substituted by Dybala. Dybala's debut in this Serie A season. For me, it was not the correct change. I don't know.
I completely agree. I mean, we saw that literally when we made the second substitution with Khedira and Emre Can, problems started appearing. I'm not giving the fault on Emre Can at all. It's just that the team was playing so good before, and then we started making these changes, and stuff happened. I mean, we received 2 goals, and then Dybala came in a substitution that it wasn't necessary. I mean, Higuaín was playing good. He wasn't tired or anything. I'm not sure the reason of the substitution, to be honest.
I mean, I think the team was betting that we would get the 4-2 instead of, defending the 3-2 victory. We only had 1 substitution left because we were forced to bring in Danilo for the Chilio because of his injury. And then Khedira for Emre Can. I don't know if that was the correct move. I guess Khedira is not, he's not physically fit to be playing 90 minutes. So I understand it on that end. But maybe bringing in somebody more defensive, and who can still pass the ball, given those those through balls like Betancourt, for example. I don't know. And then that just the Dybala Higuaín change. I thought Matuidi was on a yellow first of all, so he was doing a couple fouls. I thought maybe Rabiot would end up coming in for him, but in the end, I mean, Dybala. He came in, he got his minutes. I think also the fans played a part in it. There was a lot of criticism that Dybala wasn't put into the Parma game. So I think the coach felt a little bit pressured to put him in. But right after that, 5 minutes later, another foul.
It was a foul that had to be made because one of the Napoli player was just sprinting towards, the box, and Delete fell on the floor. And then Alexandro had to stop the player somehow. He had to make that technical foul on the player to stop him. And then that's when Napoli got that free kick. And again, a little mistake on the defense. And Di Lorenzo was able to put the ball in the goal.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, especially that trip before the foul was made by Alexandro. That trip by the Delete, he tripped, and then Alexandro was forced to make the foul. And in the actual free kick, in the cross, we saw Szczesny. He hesitated to come out. Delete didn't keep a good marking on his man, which was Di Lorenzo. And, the game was just slipping out of Juve's hands. Napoli was pretty much controlling the ball and controlling the game. Other than the Ronaldo goal and a few shots here and there, there was one by Douglas Costa, which Meret made a great save. And after he saved it, it went off the post. But other than that, Juve weren't really threatening the Napoli goal at all.
Yeah, on the second half. It was Napoli.
In the first half, it was 100% Juve.
Yeah,
second half was pretty much 100% Napoli, other than the two situations that I just stated. But in Serie A and in Champions League, you not only need to be skilled, but you also have to have a little bit of luck.
A little bit?
And
we got lucky this time, let me tell you.
Towards the end of the game, past the 90th minute into injury time, Juve got a sweet free kick on the right side of the pitch, and that's when our luck came. I mean, call it what you wish. All of our players were offside in that free kick, so none of them were even attacking the ball. The fact that Koulibaly, I don't know if he slipped, I don't know, if he just miscontrolled it, he didn't clear it well enough. But lucky for us, it went into the back of his own net.
And what a beautiful own goal.
I mean, it was top bins. It was, it was a great goal. If a Juve player would have scored that. But unlucky for Napoli, extremely lucky for Juve. But winning is the only thing that matters. We came away with the 3 points versus a direct Serie A rival. And that's the only thing that, that I'm looking at this point.
Yeah, I mean, of course we got lucky, but we also deserved it on the first half, most of it. But I'm happy that we got these other 3 points, Now we have 6 points, and it's very good. We have to just keep going this way. Next game is gonna be tough, but we got it.
Yeah, 6 out of 6, 2 wins out of 2 games played. During this match, Juve had less possession than the Parma game. This was, I think, mostly influenced by that second half. In the first half, it was 51 for Juve and 49% for Napoli. So it was almost 50-50, but they definitely beat us in possession in the second half. We won 46 of our duels. But the good thing, and what we talked about on the last podcast that we really needed to improve, were not only to increase our shots on target, but to increase our goals. 1 goal versus Parma. Now we had 4 versus Napoli. Obviously, one of them was an own goal. But still, I mean, we had from 12 shots, we had 7 on target, which is great. And, that's the improvement that we asked for during the last podcast and what I was looking for especially. And, it was great. I mean, obviously the goals came. The more you shoot, the more you can score. The more shots on target you have, the more chances of scoring that we have. And I think it's only going to get better from here. Our offense improved from last game. Our defense in the second half was not great. Missing Chiellini is a huge factor in that. But there's only room to grow.
For sure, for sure. Now let's talk about some key players that had the best stats on the game. First of all, Douglas Costa. We talked a little bit about it before. He is improving a lot. I'm loving how he's playing. Absolutely love him. He created the most chances in the match. Against Napoli, he had a total of 5 chances, which is a lot. He also had 2 assists out of the 3 goals, not counting, the fourth own goal. And he had 32 accurate passes and 84% pass success. These are amazing stats for Douglas. Another player is Ronaldo. He had his first goal with a total of 3 shots in target, 2 chances created, and an 89% pass success. Lastly, De Ligt. I know that a lot of people are not happy with his performance because it was his fault on the Napoli goals, but he had the most accurate passes of the game with a 95% accurate passes, a total of 44 accurate passes, 54 touches, and 5 clearances.
Now let's talk about De Ligt's performance a little bit. His first half was pretty great, I would say. There wasn't too much threat from Napoli, but the passes that he made were pretty good. He had a great pass accuracy throughout the entire game. And, he had 54 touches. He was the player with the most touches in the first half. But the second half was a different story. Now, one thing that's been bothering me is a lot of people are criticizing him hard. Obviously, the player, he costs a lot of money. There's big expectations for him at the club. But this criticism is just completely ridiculous. He's played his first Serie A game at home, and it's not just any Serie A game. It's Juve Napoli. And we've seen, how these games can get, especially during the last few seasons. Napoli has been the main title contender during these last 2 seasons. It's a big game. And, he's not stepping up for just anybody. He's replacing Chiellini on the pitch. On the left side of the center back, which is not his natural position. He played his entire career at Ajax as the right center back. With the Netherlands, he plays next to Van Dijk as the right center back. So this is, it's something that he has to get used to. Not only the league and the position and, just him playing with Juve, but there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Not only because of the price tag, but because, Juve fans are expecting him to replace a great like Chiellini and like Bonucci.
For sure. He has a lot on his shoulder, and he knows that he didn't perform at his best. Right after the game, he told the Telegraph, he quoted, "I felt bad after the game, but I need to move on. The season has more than 50 games. This was just one. I would have preferred to play it very well. I have to adapt to Juventus playing style. I need to know where to walk and how to stand on the field." So he's still learning. It's his first Serie A match. He has a lot on his shoulders with Chiellini's injury, but he knows that he has to improve, and he's ready for it. He just, needs to learn the last few tactics and just, step on. And then when he's going to be at 100%, we're going to see, his full potential at Juve.
Of course, once he's 100%, his potential is undoubted. I think he's probably the center back with the most potential out there. There's a lot of pressure because he's moved to a winning club like Juventus, arguably the biggest club in the Serie A and in Italy. But one thing that I really liked was Koeman, the Elite's coach with the Netherlands, he came out and made a couple statements backing him. He said, quote, "He didn't play well. He had a bad moment with the goal of Lozano. The other 2 goals were different. It was a free kick that turned in, and that's always hard to defend." He later went on to say, "Sometimes people take change too easily. I still have the newspapers of my first match at Barcelona. It was a disaster. We lost 2-0, and everybody was questioning my arrival." And I think this is a similar situation with the Elite. And, people that are questioning his ability, they just have to give him some time. He's only 20 years old, and people are too quick to judge.
And talking about judging too quickly, we talked about this on I don't know if the last or the other podcast, but with Danilo's arrival, everyone, not everyone, but the majority of fans were not happy. They were criticizing Danilo so much of him not being, a good player for Juve. And guess what? He proved us all wrong. He came in and scored a goal. And, he did an absolutely amazing job in the back line, playing on the right side with Douglas, making those runs, passing the ball, and just controlling that right side. He did amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, Danilo was amazing in this game. Compared to the Chile versus Parma, the change to Danilo was complete a 180 turn, in my opinion. He was strong defensively. His link up with Douglas Costa on the right flank was great. His passing is good. He's kind of proving people wrong, and he got that first goal versus Napoli, which is never easy to do. He's proving people wrong, and obviously people were criticizing, I think, more because of the fact that we swapped him for Cancelo plus cash. But at the same time, Cancelo has not been that strong defensively. And Danilo, at least in the game versus Napoli, he proved that, he wants to be here at Juventus, and he played a very, very good game.
Speaking about transfers, the transfer window has now closed. It hasn't been the craziest one at the end of the transfer window. Usually, in the last days, in the last hours, a lot happens, but it wasn't the case for Juve. There have been some rumors about Boateng, maybe De Sciglio going to PSG, but nothing happened at the end. Just the same stuff that we knew before.
Yeah, so we'll go over the players that joined Juve. Obviously, we got Rabiot and Ramsey on free transfers. There were a couple of agent fees, but that was that. We got the Leeds on a big money transfer from Ajax. We swapped Luca Pellegrini for Spinazzola, and we sent Pellegrini on loan to Cagliari. We swapped Cancelo for Danilo plus cash. We got Buffon back from PSG on a free transfer. We got Demiral from Sassuolo. We got Christian Romero. We sent him back on loan to Genoa. We got, obviously, Higuaín and Piaka back to Juve after their loan time. And we sent Keane off to Everton.
And the last joining the squad is Kwang Song. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He came on a loan with the option to buy. He's going to be playing with the Juventus under-23 squad.
That pretty much sums up Juve's summer in the transfer window. But we saw a lot of big transfers inside of the Serie A. Obviously, we saw Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, and Godin to Inter, just to name a few. We saw Lozano, and now on deadline day, Fernando Llorente to Napoli. We also saw Smalling joining Roma, which I think was a terrible move for Roma. Smalling has not performed very well for Manchester United at his spell there. But a good transfer for Roma was actually Mkhitaryan. He came in as a loan, I think mostly because, he didn't really prove himself at Arsenal. He had his first good season at Manchester United. His second was a disaster. But if he can show the player that he was at Borussia Dortmund, then it's not a bad deal for Roma. Speaking about Manchester United, Darmian completed a move to Parma. And the big transfer of the transfer deadline day was Mauro Icardi to PSG on a loan plus option to buy.
Finally, he ended up outside of Italy, not at Juve as he wanted. A lot of crazy stuff going on with him. At least now he's away from Italy. Inter, I guess, is happy that they got rid of him. Not completely rid of him, but at least for some time. Now we'll see how he's going to play, with PSG. Now he's going to have some space since Mbappe and Neymar are injured.
And Cavani as well.
So he's going to have some space. But when those three players come back, I don't know.
It's going to be hard to manage those big egos at PSG, especially with the whole Neymar saga over the summer. He couldn't complete a move to Barcelona. He's still injured. Who knows how long he's going to be out. Mbappe is obviously recovering from a muscle injury. Cavani is injured. So are they preparing for the future with Cavani's contract expiring soon and he's probably leaving? Rumors are that he's leaving to the United States. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on at PSG, and obviously Icardi is a great player. And a loan with option to buy is not a bad move for PSG.
For sure, and we'll see how he goes, mostly on Champions League as well.
Now moving back to what matters most, which is Juventus. Let's talk about these dreaded injuries that we're experiencing.
I mean, one of them is Ramsey. He hasn't been really with the squad that much due to his injury. I mean, he came at Juve with a pre-existing injury already. Then he caught up one this past week, I think it was, and he had a lower back injury. So now he was not on the list to play the first match day game and the second one as well.
Yeah, so Ramsey actually withdrew from the Wales squad. He won't be playing their Euro 2020 qualifiers due to this back injury and also that pre-existing injury that he came into Juventus with. And that's the thing about Ramsey, and I think Juve knew this when they brought him in. He's injury prone. He hasn't been able to recover from that injury that he had over the summer, but hopefully, our doctors will be able to take good care of him, and he'll be on the pitch after international break.
The other player, sadly, that caught up an injury is Chiellini. This is the biggest injury so far that we had of the season. He got injured in training, actually, the day before the game against Napoli on Friday. And he actually sprained his right knee. He will undergo surgery tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tuesday in Austria. Hopefully, he can recover, fast. But with a player of his age, it's going to be very hard, for him to come back at 100%. But we have to be positive and, hope for the best.
Yeah, so Chiellini has a lesion of the anterior cruciate ligament. This is a big injury. We've seen a lot of, good players get this injury, and the recovery time is, anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7 months. Obviously, it depends on each player, but with Chiellini's age, we have to take it slow, and whenever he's back, he's back. The biggest blow, I think, to the season is losing Chiellini. We saw last season how, when he suffered from injuries and he wasn't able to play, the defense suffered big time.
But you have to think that last season we didn't really had a big strong line. Our bench as far as defense was not the same as this season. I mean, we have Demiral and Elite. So we have two other big players and Rugani that can take that position.
There's no doubt, but there's no replacing Chiellini's leadership on the field.
Oh, for sure. That's it for sure.
That's the biggest, loss that Juve are facing this season. Obviously, we prepared for this during the transfer season, which is why we brought in the Elite, why we brought in Demiral, why we bought Romero and sent him out on loan. Chiellini's time at Juve is coming to an end soon, and with this injury, it might come even sooner. Hopefully, he can play the rest of the season once he comes back. But now it's time for these young defenders to step up and take leadership of the team. That is what we really need. Somebody to lead that back line and make sure that it's a defensive wall back there. Apart from Chiellini, we have Mattia De Sciglio. He got injured during this Napoli game. 15-16 minutes in, he carried out the diagnostics exams at J Medical, and he's out for anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. It's a low-grade lesion of the bicep femoris of the left thigh. So in about 10 days, he'll get new exams. The good thing about this is that it's right over international break. So obviously he won't be playing with the Italian national squad in their Euro 2020s, but it gives him time to recover over the next few days in time for the Champions League and Serie A next matches.
Talking about international breaks, Juve announced the players that will be playing for their national team. So for Italy, we're going to have Bonucci and Bernardeschi. With Bosnia, Pjanic. With Poland, Szczesny. Germany, Emre Can. Holland or the Netherlands, De Ligt. Turkey, Demiral. France, Matuidi. Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Now, those are the ones, all those players will be playing Euro 2020 qualifier matches, so good luck to them and their national teams. And in addition to those players, there are a couple that are going out to play international friendlies, which are Dybala for Argentina, Betancourt for Uruguay, Alexandro for Brazil, and Cuadrado for Colombia, which is an interesting one because we're actually going to be at one of Colombia's games on September the 10th.
Yes, they are actually playing here in Florida. We are going to the game Venezuela against Colombia, thanks to Black Tower Agency. It's going to be a very exciting experience, and we will definitely, take you guys along with us. We will be posting and sharing our experience of the game, and hopefully, who knows, maybe meet some players.
Yeah, it was great to hear from Black Tower Agency. Martina, across her Juve designer Instagram, actually got into contact with them. So she had a giveaway for some tickets on her Instagram account. And yeah, shout out to them, Black Tower Agency. Thank you, Jose, for providing some tickets for us. And it's going to be exciting to see the Colombia national team. Obviously, I'm from Colombia, so I'm very, very excited for the game and playing Venezuela, which is one of our biggest rivals. But yeah, I'm very excited for the game and VIP experience. So stay tuned for that on our social media accounts.
We will also be making a video, so make sure to also check it out on YouTube.
So after the international break, the coveted Champions League starts.
Finally, I can't wait for this. The Champions League list, the famous Champions League list, is going out actually tomorrow. So I'm excited. I'm also, a little bit scared to see who Sarri is going to cut out of the squad. Now that Chiellini is injured, sadly, he will not be on the list, in my opinion. But we'll see who else won't be in that list.
Yeah, so I think 3 players are pretty much guaranteed to be cut from the list. One of those players being Perin. He was linked to a move to Benfica, but that got dropped because of the injury that he currently has. The other one is Piaka, who returned on loan, but he is not really being considered by Sarri. And the last one being Chiellini, obviously with his injury that he's going to be out for at least 5 to 6 months. So those are the first three. There's two more who need to be cut. Who are your guesses that are going to be cut from the list?
I mean, was expecting to get those two out by the transfer window, selling. There were thoughts about selling Rugani, but since that did not happen, I think the two players that would be cut, one, in my opinion, is Bentancur. I talked about it on the last podcast. He, didn't really play this season, and last season he was a little bit injured and wasn't really part of the team. He's also very young. So we have a lot of midfielders, so I think he would be one. As far as the other one, honestly, it's going to be hard, but probably it's going to be Mandzukic, because Higuain has been proving himself a lot as that 9 position. Then we have Dybala as a false 9. So I think Mandzukic is going to be the second player to be cut out of the Champions League list.
Yeah, I think Mandzukic will be cut. As you said, he's not really being taken into consideration, just like Piaka, into Sarri's squad. Also, he was linked to a move away from Juve. And there's still rumors that he will likely be leaving in January, probably to the Asian market. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, that last player, I think that last spot it's going to be the toughest one to choose. Like you said, Bentancur, like Mandzukic, hasn't really been chosen by the manager much. He hasn't played many games, so I think he will be cut out as well. But if any of those 5 were to make the list, I think it would be Bentancur. And who knows, maybe there's a surprise out there for who makes that list.
And also, I mean, we don't really know how serious Ramsey's injuries are. I know they're not very important at the moment, but who knows, they can become more important and maybe cannot play. So Bentancur will take that position.
Yeah, there's always stuff behind closed doors that we are not aware of. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for today's episode. Be sure to follow us on all social medias. You can follow me on Twitter at Juve AJ and on Instagram at Juve.aj. You can follow Martina at Juve Designer on all platforms.
And make sure to follow our show on all platforms at The Bianconeri Show.
We also released a new project called Bianconero Wear. You can check it out on Instagram and Facebook or at bianconerowear.com. We have a couple of cool t-shirt designs on there. And who knows, if you're one of the first few customers, you might get something special in that package. So be on the lookout for that. And how about we give our predictions for the next 2 matches? So we play Fiorentina on Sunday, September the 15th. What's your prediction for that match?
It's going to be a tough game, just like this one against Napoli. Plus, we're playing away. So I think it will be maybe a 2-2.
Oh, wow. So you think we're going to draw and lose our first points?
I think so.
I disagree.
Sadly.
I think Fiorentina are weak on the defensive end, and we can take advantage of that, especially with our attacking football. The players will be a little bit tired because of international break, but I think we'll get a 3-1 victory.
Damn. Who do you think is going to score?
I think Douglas will get his first Juve Serie A 2020 goal. And then the rest is really up to grabs. I mean, we've seen that we've had pretty much unexpected goal scorers the past 2 games. Chiellini scored our first goal, then Danilo. And then obviously Higuain and Ronaldo eventually got their goals. But I'm going to say, so Douglas will get 1, Ronaldo will get 1, and I'll put the Elite up there.
Damn, do you think he's gonna make his first goal already?
Hopefully. I'm confident that he's gonna get his confidence, and who knows, one of those corners swung in, he'll get his head on the end of it and put it into the back of the net.
What about for the first Champions League game against Atleti?
That's gonna be a very tough game. Juve Atleti, the rematch from last season's knockout stage at Atleti, so we'll be playing in Madrid. You know, Atleti, their first 2 games, they were very strong in their league games. Their last games, they were a little weaker. They started losing the game 2-0. They eventually made the comeback and won 3-2. I think we'll get a 2-2 tie.
I also think a 2-2.
A 2-2 tie.
So both games for me, it's going to be a 2-2.
Yeah, hopefully all our players come back from international break without any injuries, knock on wood. But yeah, guys, be sure to follow us on all our podcasting platforms. And if there's any platform out there that you do not see us on, be sure to let us know and we will make it available.
Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Ciao, Bianconeri.